Welcome to episode 83 of the Guardian 1 podcast. We record live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I'm joined by Crimson Warlock.
What's up, everybody?
Jez.
Good morning.
Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
Sharks.
Time for Destiny.
And Gray.
Good game, everyone.
We're going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you for listening in on the podcast, however it is that you are choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter, at G1Net. That's G, the number 1, N-E-T. In addition, be sure to check out the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to feedback@guardian1.net. If you do a search on budget.net for Guardian 1, you'll find our forums group, which we also use for both comments and feedback. Big thank you to all those currently in the Twitch chat. As Remy said at the top of the podcast, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. We broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the show live, you can always search for the Guardian 1 podcast on iTunes, as well as the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out the Guardian Radio Network website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all the different podcasts as part of the network, including the flagship podcast, Guardian Radio. They broadcast every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at GuardiansofD and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/GuardiansofD. Other podcasts that are part of the Guardian Radio Network include previous episodes of TTL Party Chat and Robust Radio. There's also a podcast called Ghost and Echoes, which contains a bit of fan fiction and audio versions of the Grimoire cards found within Destiny. That's it for housekeeping. I'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Hollow River.
Yes, thank you, Hollow River. And thank you, Actual River, for everything that you do. Still working behind the scenes. It's really great to have you equalizing the material and making sure that we have a really good product. Just recently, River, either intentionally or otherwise, upped the amount of megabytes that the podcast format sat in. And I feel really good about it because we're talking about almost twice as many megabytes, but still under the cap that iTunes presents. So really excellent work. Thank you very much, River and Hollow River. I wanted to begin tonight's episode with an open conversation. Like, I want to ask everybody on the panel here for ideas, and I want to ask everybody listening in the chat right now, everybody listening to this recording at home on YouTube or iTunes. I keep running into team members, Destiny team members, people who are working on the game right now. And this last weekend, I went to another Casper Baby Pants show, and I saw another team member, and I had been working on a set of questions that I thought it would be cool to ask these people, but I kind of lost my nerve to do the whole recorded interview thing, mostly because I kind of just want to make sure I get across, great job, keep up the good work. But I really want to bring back content to this show because I feel like what a great, awesome resource. I'm just going about my everyday life and I'm seeing these people and I have an opportunity to just peek into their brains really quickly. Like I've said previously, none of them share. None of them are secret sharers. I've never come across one who's been like, well, don't tell anybody this, but this is what our plans are. I feel like they either all have a really good sense of what they should say or what they could say, or at least definitely what they cannot say. And I feel like that's a really great quality. You definitely need people like that on your team, especially with something like this. Destiny is a very interesting creature in that they talk with the community. They talk to the community so much that it is difficult in my mind to understand how they keep so much close to their vest. and when I come across these people, I want to be able to say, hey, do you have 5 minutes for a really quick interview? Like, I want to look inside these people's minds. I want to give them just the tiniest platform for which they can share with us their thoughts or feelings, or so I with the help of Flounder have come up with just some very simple questions that I think would be really cool, and these are some that I've tried out on like Gray or Lawn Boy, like things like favorite class and build. Like that tells you something about the person working on Destiny. Which one, which player are they? Are they a Titan player? Are they a Hunter player? Do they play all of them equally, and so it just all blurs together? Favorite gear, favorite activities, what got you into gaming? I think that's a really cool question to ask these people who are, they're clearly fans of video games. Like one of the other themes that I've noticed is that these people all play a ton of video games. It's their interest totally. What's behind that giant round door in the tower? Like, I thought that would be funny to point blank them with. How long have you worked at Bungie? What is your favorite thing about working for Bungie? Star Wars or Star Trek? That one's more of just an incendiary comment that I think would be funny to ask. But I want to ask you guys, just right here on the panel, like I want to know what it is that you guys would hope that I'd ask these people. And after I didn't get a chance to do an interview with this guy, it occurred to me that what I really should be doing is reaching out to you on the panel, in the community. What is it that you would like to hear when I do inevitably run into one of these people again? What is it that I should be asking them? What are the big questions? What are the awesome questions? Crimson Warlock, why don't we start with you? What question or questions do you think would be really excellent for me to ask them? Nothing like, where's Forge? I've got that covered. What would you like to hear me asking these people? What would you like to hear in the interviews that I will find in the future?
Oh gosh, put me on the spot first, so I don't have time to think.
Yeah. Surprise! You want to
Yeah.
talk about a wet blanket, Crimson Warlock? Let's have it.
Probably like no impediments. Like, if it was your decision, what gameplay mechanic or function would you put in Destiny 2 that, like, you feel like Destiny 1's missing? What would you put in Destiny 2?
I like that a lot. What gameplay mechanic would you put in? We'll call it D2. I noticed that one of the artists referred to Destiny as D1, and instantly I felt him rigid up. He's like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have referred to it as D1, but the cat is out of the bag now. He's like, oh well, we refer to it as D1. So yeah, what gameplay mechanic would you put in D2? No restrictions. Okay. Let's see. Jez, what about you? What question or questions would you like me to throw out to them in an interview style? Like, what would you like to hear come back here?
Well, I'd probably want to throw them a slight curveball, something like, what have the players done that surprised you with the game?
I like that a lot. What have the players done in game that have surprised you?
Every time you repeat a question, I think, and is it on the board?
Show me what surprised you. Unalala in the chat says favorite patrol zone and why. I have that marked down. It is in my list. Thank you. That's a good question, Jez. Thank you very much. Let's see, Agrios. What about you? What is the question or questions you think I should be asking these people when I inevitably run into them for a segment on the show?
Man, most of what I would want to know, they definitely won't talk to you about.
Right?
But,
absolutely.
And let me propose the first question you ask is: do you mind Uber fanboys asking you a bunch of questions at your time out here at the kids' concert?
You know what? Okay, so I'm gonna write that down because that's a great question. Uber fanboy asking you questions on your downtime, and I definitely will be asking that. Like maybe that'll even be the top question. Like I'll ask them if they'll do an interview, and then I'll ask them if they mind an Uber fanboy asking them questions on their downtime. You know what though? I feel like they do want to talk about it. You know, like I don't work there. I'm not at all part of that creative process. I'm not getting paid at all. Like it's not my livelihood. It's not anything that is like, this is just hobby for me. This is just something I enjoy doing. And I feel like the passion that they show and the way they go about everything, I feel like that's really awesome. Like one of my favorite jobs I ever had was working at Blockbuster / Hollywood Video. Like I really enjoy talking about movies and I enjoy talking about, hidden implications, different characters' actions, what ambiguous scenes mean. Like I really enjoy, chopping up and really chewing on these kinds of things. And I feel like every single person I've talked to, every single Bungie employee I've ever talked to, they've all been really interested in talking about it. It's a passion for them. Yes, they're getting paid for it, but luckily for them, it is also something that they really enjoy. Additionally, if I had to say also, when you wear a Destiny shirt that is not for sale on the Destiny store, you're actually putting a great big target on your head. Ask me about Destiny. There might as well have a great big pin that says "Ask me about Destiny." And it's funny because when I walked up to this person, I decided to do the same thing that I did last time. Like I thought I wanted to take a picture and I wanted to reach out to the community right that second, but it was like way after the show and the crowds purchasing CDs and books from Casper Baby Pants had started to die down, and I was worried that he was going to leave before I had a chance to get any feedback. So I just walked up to him and I said, "Hey, I really enjoyed the April update." And I feel like that's a really great opener because, I mean, even if he didn't work at Bungie, let's just say that he was a super fan and he had this really sweet t-shirt that he made himself. I feel like he knows. I'm not just walking up to random people. Like he's identified himself as somebody who really likes Destiny, especially if he's wearing this t-shirt out in public. And so, all right.
So if I were going to ask him a more genuine question, I think I would probably try to go for a more personal angle, since it's rare you get to connect on a personal level to the people making the game. Agreed. And I think I would probably go the route of what is the coolest thing that you've ever made for the game that didn't make it into the game? And what's the coolest thing that you've ever made that made it into the game that you're like, the first thing that when your friends are playing, you're like, that right there, that's mine. I did that. That's me. What are you proudest about of your own product that made it into the game? And also, the reverse, what didn't make it?
That's a really good question. And I appreciate you for reminding me of that, because that's something that I want them to be able to point to something and say, I did that. I mean, I think the only reason that this doesn't come up to my brain faster necessarily is because I don't want it to be something where it's like, well, nothing I've done has, made it into the game specifically because I do this, like, oh, I did part of an emote, but I mean, I guess everybody has their hand on some portion of it, and actually when I went to that Destiny public event, it actually was it actually was something that I was asking around. I don't remember how I phrased it, but it wasn't as specific as this. But that's a really good question.
Even if they didn't do something start to finish, like someone somewhere had the first idea for like the boo emote for Halloween. Like someone somewhere said we should do this emote, and whether they had anything else to do with it at that point on, that's still something they can point at and be like, yeah, that right there, that was mine.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the things I really liked about this this last Bungie Twitch stream, was seeing the face behind so much of this, like so much of what we've seen, and so much of, you know, like watching the Warlock progression, the icon for the Warlock progression. Like, that's awesome. That's really cool stuff to know. So yeah, this is a great question. Thank you very much for both the serious question and for the joke question. I think that both of them are going to go over very well. Sharks, what do you think? What do you think about what would you like to hear an answer to question or questions when I inevitably run into one or more of these people?
Okay, I have two angles for this. First angle is, hi, I'm Remy Auxiliary. I do a podcast each week. I've been doing it since the beginning. Would you be a guest on my show? Because I think the viewers would love to have that. And I think that way you don't have to sit there and shoot off a whole bunch of questions to somebody that's trying to enjoy something that they're doing. But the other way about it is asking them questions. And my question would be, how many hours a week do you put into playing Destiny, if you still do? And if you don't, what game do you play and how much time do you put into that game?
I like this question a lot. How many hours do you put into Destiny? I feel like everybody there has to play it. You know, I mean, you might be right. You might be right that that it's not something that they play a lot. And I mean, this goes to, you know, what's that?
I would kind of imagine that some people that work there, like, you know, artists and like people who work with like mathematics and spreadsheets, I imagine there's people that work there that don't even game ever.
Yeah. I think we talked about this previously, like the janitors or something like this. Like, these people don't need to be interested in video games in order to work there.
Well, no, I mean, even people working on the game. I mean, if your job is to double check lines of data for mathematical errors and that's all you do at Bungie, why would you need to be a gamer?
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. You know what, though? I think that it would probably help. But I'm not familiar with the hiring guidelines. It just seems like a no-brainer. So, okay. So how many hours do you put into Destiny a week, or what game? That's a good one. And you know what? I do actually need an introduction. Thank you for pointing this out, Sharks. This is a really good thing to do. And on that note, I'm actually going to have business cards made, just because I run into people. There's a ton of people in this world, many of them in Seattle. And so just being able to hand out a card with all of the details is really important. And actually, it was something that I was going to talk to you guys about if you were interested in having cards made up also. I will show you the designs that I'm working on. What's that, Sharks?
I'm totally down for that, actually, because I've been thinking about the same thing, thinking about going, you know, when we go to GameStops and stuff like that, and you talk to people and you meet people, it would be so awesome to just turn around and hand them a card or something along that line. Say, hey, come and check out my podcast. Here's the date and time and all that stuff too. So, yeah.
Something else that just occurred to me as an example, based about what we were just talking about as far as people gaming that are involved with games. Recently, one of my friends, he's an artist in Atlanta, Georgia. He got lucky enough. He was working on he got to design some of the scenes, like the background scenery and rooms and things that were used in the Xbox exclusive Quantum Break. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he doesn't ever game ever. So, but he drew up concepts and things like that for this backgrounds used for the Quantum Break game.
That's interesting that you say that. In like 2009 or 2010, I was working at Hollywood Video, and I ran into a person who had done like some of the poster pages, like some of the images for ODST and Reach, like some of the things. It was like, oh, visit New Mombasa, and it was supposed to be an advertisement in this world for going and seeing these places in this game. And I said, that's really cool. They seem to really fit. And he's like, well, it's funny that you say that because I didn't know anything about Halo. I didn't know anything about these worlds. And I said, that might be why they fit in this world, is because you weren't trying to make it Halo. You were trying to, like, you were probably given this sci-fi, like, this is a futuristic world. This is, 2465 or whatever it is in Halo. And what would just a regular billboard be? Like, that's really cool, Agrios. Let's see. All right, Gray. What do you think? What do you think would be a cool question to ask these people when I come across them, as far as having the answer? Like, what do you want to hear every time I come across one of these people?
I would want to know a little bit more about their backstory. I'd kind of want to know about what their journey was like before they became an employee of Bungie and started working on this project, and what elements of that journey influenced the work they did in the game. What aspects of their past might have influenced different design elements or programming elements that showed kind of their personality coming through in their work.
I like that. I like that a lot. That would be a really cool, It would set the stage. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through these, and I'm going to go back, through the examples that we get either from chat. Those of you who are just now showing up, we're talking about questions I could ask Destiny team members when I run into them. Like I ran into a Destiny team member at Walmart one time. They had this really worn and tattered Trials of Osiris shirt, and it was clear that they had that for years. And I just see these people everywhere. There's a lot of them working on it, and a great many of them enjoy sporting Destiny. I'm also talking about, like, I enjoy wearing like Dickies button-up shirts. Like I think that for some reason it's just fit my personality for a lot of years. I really like a utilitarian look, and so I'm going to have like embroidered on the upper left-hand shoulder that tricorn, and then maybe the Guardian 1 symbol on the back. I think it's going to be so awesome, and also,
hey Remy,
and also weird. Yeah, what's up?
So I have another question now that I've had more time to think about it, and I kind of put my interviewer on the spot in a lot of ways when I go into job interviews and stuff, and this is one that I think would be interesting to hear from them. Is, in that hypothetical situation, and heaven forbid it happen, but if they ever had to pass the torch to a different developer to continue Destiny, like, who would they want to continue the development on that? It'd show, I guess, a lot of respect that person would have for their competition, but also fellow workers in the workspace.
I like that a lot. What developer would you pass it to? Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm gonna wind this down, but just for those showing up, Lays Summerstone, welcome. Stone, welcome. Bobcat, talking about questions that I'm going to ask people in an interview type setting. I'm going to set up my phone to be like this recording station, and I'm going to ask them questions. And, granted, if they want to talk, and they all do. I imagine that the ones who don't want to talk are not going to be wearing their Destiny shirts, and so with that in mind, the guy I met, Pat, the time before last, he might not have wanted to talk, but you got a bunch of Destiny on your backpack. I'm going to talk to you. So do
you think that they are going to be less receptive if they know you're actually recording them as opposed to just talking to them and reporting their answers?
That's a really good question. And I think as long as I'm not trying to get actual details out of them, like if I keep it to these questions that are kind of just that don't have to do with secrets, that don't have to do with when are we getting a forge mode. Like, I think that if I'm not putting them on the spot for anything serious, I think that it might be cool. But you're right. That might be something that I think about. Can I record this?
Well, it definitely
Versus
changes it from a personal feel to the the conversation no longer has an entirely personal feel if there's a recorder between you and the person you're talking with.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm
not saying to be like a jerk or try to do this to be underhanded, but if you're in a public setting, you don't need to inform people that you're recording what's going on.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but no, wait. This is my whole point in trying. If you can just ask some questions, because you're going to remember a few questions, and ask them to come on the show, because then you can ask all the questions you want, and you're not going to have to worry about, oh, well, I forgot exactly how this person worded it,
Like, as I said, I'm not trying to be underhanded. Like, you're not going to try to ask them about things that you think are going to get them in trouble anyway, and they're not supposed to be telling anybody, whether there's a recorder there or not, anything that, is going to get them in trouble. So, I mean, as long as don't have malicious intent, I don't see anything wrong with candidly recording the data.
You're a funny guy, and I think that would... I wouldn't be able to do that, but that's funny. Yeah, Lays, that's actually exactly what this is for. The last 2 weeks, I've run into Bungie employees out in the wild and had a chance to chit chat with them, and thought, man, I do this weekly podcast about Destiny. It would be really cool if I had, like a 5-minute interview, like a very quick little, some of the questions, what is your backstory, your journey to Bungie? Where did you come from? How many hours do you put into Destiny in a week? Things like, what is the coolest thing you ever made for the game, that made it into the game or that didn't make it into the game, or both. So if you have any ideas of something that you would like to hear on a podcast, let me know in the chat, or just for anybody listening, if this is on iTunes or you're watching the YouTube, you can just send this information to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week. I can't say that email without finishing that sentence, because I've said it so many times. This is exactly what I'm afraid of. All questions exiting my brain as I'm standing there. I mean, I feel like I've done a good job. I feel like if I had recorded the conversations, I definitely come off as a fanboy, but I come off as a fanboy who knows what he's talking about. I'm not I'm not just any fanboy. I'm not like, this is just this is just a hobby for me. This is a hobby for me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Okay. Is 35 hours a week too much? It's a very good question, R Velvet J. Okay, so why don't we move on? I appreciate all of your answers, and it was really excellent to jot them down. Looking forward to mixing these up in a way that kind of flows and makes sense, because I think that's going to really help a lot. I would like to shift gears really quickly here and say that I hate the term Fist of Panic. I feel like when I think about the Striker Titan and I think about the Fist of Havoc, I think that you press those two buttons and then it unleashes that Fist of Havoc, and then that's it. This is all of the time that you get. And just recently, Mesa Sean was using this term, and his beef was that he doesn't ever see Fist of Havoc used offensively. He only sees people use it when he pulls out his super. And it is my opinion that saving your super to shut down another person's super is not panicking. This is not, oh no, what do I do? This is, yes, this is what I've been saving this for. And so I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to, what is your take on this? Because I'll tell you what, right now, the shoulder charge of panic, I hate. Like, if you want to talk about something that's panicking, it's that right there.
No,
You're running
that
along.
can't be a panic because you have to be running for so long before the shoulder charge builds up. If you're going for a shoulder charge, that's way premeditated, not a panic action.
Okay. Agrios, I did not call on you yet. Please sit down and raise your hand. So let's start with you, Gray. Fist of Havoc. Is this something that you think, waiting to use your Fist of Havoc until someone is using their super so that you can shut them down? Is that panicking or is that strategic?
I guess it depends on the person doing it and when they're doing it. I tend to say that experienced players, advanced players, they're going to use it strategically, but probably novice players and casual players, they might be using it just out of reaction to getting themselves into a bad situation. I tend to use mine more aggressively. We talked last week that I got a little Leroy Jenkins in me, so I don't like sitting back with my super. I feel like the opportunity cost of it not charging is too much. So I tend to actually try to pop my super pretty quick once it charges up so that I have a higher likelihood of it recharging again in that same round.
Okay, so you bring up a really good point, and this is something that I think about a lot. And as a often user of the Night Stalker, I will sometimes go an entire game. I will sometimes go an entire mission or an entire PvP match without using it. And that bothers me. I don't like sitting on it for so long because you're right. Once I use it, it's instantly starting to recharge again. How many times can I use it? I don't know, but more than never is good. But as Unilala says in chat, there's nothing I love more than tethering a warlock in his super. Absolutely. Like that's one of the things that really drew me to the Night Stalker. Being able to shut down a super that's magic. That's saving your team's ass in a tight spot, especially with the Stormcaller and the Sunbreaker. Both of those classes can just eat through teammates like nobody's business. And so I feel like you're totally right. Sitting on it for so long is not helping anybody. But novice players are going to use it in a more panicky way, and veteran users are going to be waiting for the opportunity that affords them the best options. And so I am looking forward to playing some PvP with you because I'd like to see how you're doing it. But I called out Mesa Sean. I was maybe a little rude. I didn't put as many smiley faces as I normally do. I said that it sounds like sour grapes because he's complaining that people aren't using it more offensively. Like, they only use it when I have my super, like that. That sounds like strategy to me. Like you don't want them to use it when you have your super. You want them to use it before you have your super so that you can use your super. You need to get better at using your super. I wanted to have him on the show. What's that?
Oh, this isn't really a criticism of Mesa Sean, but just in general, if you find yourself in that situation where some sort of event in the game, somebody else's decision is resulting in you routinely dying from the same thing, most cases you've got to figure out a new way to play in that situation. They're obviously winning that encounter, and you've got to think a little bit more strategically about how you want to engage in that situation, as opposed to, they're cheesing something in their build. Complaining about it, I don't think, doesn't really advance your play very far.
What's crazy is I've seen that Mesa Sean's clips, and he's a good player. So for him to be vexed by this so hard, it's very interesting, especially because he's got a great channel and he does really great breakdowns of things. Like many of my favorite videos are his because of his. Like I feel like he has a fresh take, and so just to see him complaining about this, it just Fist of Panic. It just boils my blood because there was a video that Datto did a long time ago about the about the gunslinger and how there's some kind of like 8 seconds in between shots, 6 seconds in between shots. Like you can activate Golden Gun, and then you can just walk around the map and pick people off, and that seems a lot less of a Datto was saying commitment. There was no commitment there, but when like a Voidwalker or the or the Titan, there's a commitment there. If you whiff, you whiff. If you miss one shot of the Golden Gun, you still have 2 more, and it's over seconds and seconds. Like there's so much time in between these things. So when I see Fist of Panic, I just see. I'm not ever sad when I die from the Fist of Havoc. I'm not ever sad when I get hit with a Fist of Havoc because it's so commitment based. You see that guy running at you, get out of the area. Like I've successfully flown away from people doing the Fist of Havoc. Like it's very easily dodged. Unlike Gunslinger, I feel like I can't get away from that at all.
See, I don't know if I can agree with that, because I think if someone's using the Fist of Havoc appropriately, you have very little chance of getting away from it, because it goes in a huge radius around him. If he's slamming down right next to you, what are you going to do? Whereas if you hear a Golden Gun pop, he can only shoot at one person first. So you have the time until he aims at a second person to be running the hell away from him.
Yeah, but that's like seconds and seconds.
I think it's also a risk versus a risk reward type thing. The Golden Gun gets more time and can be done from a distance, but unless you get lucky with a combustion shot, you're not likely to ever take down more than 3 people. And that's even if you land all 3 of your shots on 3 different Guardians. Whereas, like, especially in places like Control or Rift around where the spark is or something like that, you could take down an entire team with Fist of Havoc.
Totally. There definitely is that to take into account, but I don't think that that's a panic situation. I think that that's a strategic situation.
I wasn't agreeing. I wasn't commenting on my Fist of Panic yet. You didn't get to me, as you clearly pointed out before. Right. So I was just responding to your one comment.
Right. I'm just ignoring your raised hand because right now we got to go to Sharks. Sharks, what do you think about this Fist of Panic? Are you vexed by this? Do you wish that they would just use it and get out of the way so that you can successfully mow them over with your super?
Okay, so I responded to Mr. Sean on Twitter, and then, of course, when I go to Guardian Radio and I'm one of the moderators there, and Mr. Sean brought it up again during the podcast, I said to him the same thing I said in my Twitter comment was, if you don't see anybody using it offensively, come and play with me. Because first off, I don't use Fist of Panic, as he likes to say. That's noobs. That's noobs that use their Fist of Havoc and miss, because they're so flustered and they don't know what they're doing. They're just trying to use a super to stop what's happening to them. That's a Fist of Panic, as he likes to put it. Using your super against another super, hell yeah, I would do that any day. The problem is that I'm not going to have my super when some stupid blade dancer's coming at me, because I've already taken my super into their zone and smashed the shit out of them. So it's absolute crap. Saying that it's a Fist of Panic, because most people that use it properly are either saving it for a specific time. A lot of people save it for like heavy round. I try not to save my supers for heavy round, because I can have a super, I can use a super and then have another super before heavy actually comes to be, and then I can use it during heavy then too. So offensive weapon totally. Now if you're playing game modes like Trials, A lot of people do save their supers to use at specific times, especially against specific builds that they're coming up against. But even there, you can and should use it offensively in the right situation. So yeah, it's an offensive weapon for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's a really great. I've seen people with the Fist of Havoc, blow out entire teams like just with that one thing. But I mean that plays to the other team as well. Like, why were you guys standing so close? Like that. I think that's a mistake.
Well, that's true, but I do actually have to add this is that if you're playing up against good players can stop a Fist of Havoc before you release it. If as the Titan you're not doing it properly, because when you go in and attack with the Fist of Havoc, you don't want to just be running down there and I'm going to jump in there and do my Fist of Havoc, because you're going to get, especially if you're playing against team, you're going to get team shot. You want to come around a corner and use it, or you're right there and there's a whole bunch of guys there and then use it. But I always say this to everybody that I'm playing with. I was like, don't run. I mean, I even said this back when the Titan came out with its Titan hammers and, sitting there bowling people over. I was like, no, don't run. Turn around, shoot them. You'll stop them. You might lose one person, but you're better off taking out that super. I always attack a super, and you can attack a Fist of Havoc and take them down before they get you.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to post like one of my shining moments in the beta was me taking down a Fist of Havoc midair with a punch. Like I'm going to post that in the next 28 or 48 hours to Twitter because it was one of those moments where I don't know, it just seemed like the right thing to do. And when Bife was over here, I showed it to him, and you should have seen the look on his face, like his jaw dropped, and he's like, rewind that real quick. And it was just really cool. Like I was really proud of myself. But yeah, I actually do the same thing. Like unless I am clear behind like a pillar or a wall, I will just attack them as well. Like if there's no chance of me getting away, like if a Sunbreaker just pops out of nowhere right in front of me and there's no way I'm getting away, I definitely try and take down as much of their health as possible, and have taken down quite a few. So it can be done, and it's fun, and it's really just goes to, like, I want to say muscle memory, but that's not what I'm thinking of. It's like what choices do you have? What do you have available to you?
Play passive or play aggressive. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and being able to switch between those two, I think, is really important. All right, Agrios, I would love to hear what you have to say about this, because you are very. I can hear you right on the edge of your seat. So Fist of Panic or Fist of Strategery, what is it?
Well, I'm always a fan of Strategery, but I think there's really only 3 ways you can use that super. In general, I mean, I'm sure you can come up with creative little tiny situations, but in general, you're going to use it either to take out a group of enemies. My rule is if I get an opportunity that I can't easily take out these 2 dudes, and I could with my super and it's charged, well, I'm going to use it so it can start recharging right away. So at least more than one target I can hit with it, or to counter a super. If I can shut down a Stormcaller or a Sunbreaker with my Fist of Havoc and save all my team's lives, even if I go down in the process, well, then that's a valid use of a super for me. So I think especially using it to counter supers is probably the best use of it. And then there's the Fist of Panic, and that's when you get yourself into a reckless situation right around the corner. There's one shotgunner which you don't have the drop on, and you pull the 2 triggers and nail him and waste your super on just one guy with a shotgun when you could have used it way more effectively to either save your team's lives or kill multiple people. Okay, that's what I would call the Fist of Panic.
Okay,
can I interject something there, though? It depends. I see where Agrios is coming from, but that depends on the actual game mode. Because there are some game modes that you're not going to even have the chance to maybe see multiple people. That's all I want to say.
Granted. Great.
Okay.
Like if you're in trials or a special situation, I guess I was definitely talking more general team play.
Okay, so you both have really great points. Agrios, I was actually looking for an example of Fist of Panic, like what would be the Fist of Panic, and that's it right there. That's it right there. Is if you are going up against one person, and that is your great big hurrah is against one person, you've wasted it, unless as Sharks says, it's a scenario like I could see that in trials. I could see using it on an entrenched sniper or somebody, or like when the really good player presents himself,
Right.
Sniping everybody, and you have a chance to take that one guy down to even the odds. I could see that being a strategic move. But yeah, I was definitely looking for an example of what the Fist of Panic would actually look like. And yeah, against one guy with a sniper, you've wasted your super instead of waiting for a more opportune time. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Like at that point, instead of panicking, you should have either tried to go for the lucky shot and still taken him down, or taken your death and gone on with that next life to really make good use of that super.
Yeah. Okay, so definitely, Fist of Panic is not when the other person has their super activated. Because when he said that, I thought, well, I don't know, that sounds like a great idea. Like, oh, this opposing Guardian has their super out. I'm going to use my super to shut that down. Like that's awesome. That's the way I use supers. That is the way I use supers. When I hear people popping theirs, I pop mine to shut them down. It's like going into like a robot suit. Like, oh, you're going to go into your robot suit. I'm going to go into my robot suit as well, and we're going to battle on that level of power. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that, Agrios?
Nope, that's everything.
Thank you very much. That was a great answer, and I appreciate your passion for this subject. Jez, what do you think about this whole Fist of Panic thing? Is it how we've described it so far? What do you think about this?
Well, I was going to actually say the same thing as Agrios, that it's when someone just comes across some guy like rushing with a shotgun and decides to super him instead of waiting to like use it on everyone waiting around for heavy or something.
Yeah.
It's like it's about the same as like some guy that goes arc blade because he sees one guy, he kills him, and then he sits in arc blade for the rest of the time doing nothing because he can't find anyone else.
Right. Absolutely. I like that a lot. R Velvet J in the chat says they use it more for like nicknames. They enjoy the nicknames Ballerina, Lightning Fingers, Mad Bomber, Fist of Panic. And then they say, I wish everyone would team shoot mobile supers. Yeah, I mean, they're actually really easy to take down, especially if you have more than one person shooting. Canceling a super always feels good, sniper or super. And then they say, I Nova of Panic all the time to shut down supers. That's fun.
I always team shot roaming supers, but when I'm team shotting the Sunbreaker and he kills his first dude and his life shoots back up, I turn around and run.
That's a really good idea.
Like if you don't get him before he makes his first kill, just run.
Yeah, especially
if he's got the healing thing on,
Is that all builds? Do all builds give back the energy, or is that only a specific build?
No, there's a specific perk on the Sunbreaker that you have to have selected in order to get your life back from each kill. I mean, there's another perk that also lets you regain health standing as Sunspot, but that's not the one that most people are using.
Got it. People are talking about pre-nerf Sunbreakers. I still couldn't hit anything with Sunbreaker. I still can't hit anything with Sunbreaker. I've been doing better with Sunbreaker, but I've been actually focusing my time more on the Striker, just because I don't have the chops. I don't have the chops to lob it. That damn hammer everywhere. And it's funny because I hate. Do you hear this, Stone? I hate shoulder charge, but it's really fun to use on what is it, Inferno? like when people can't see you coming around the corner, like there is a panicky moment. That is a panicky moment, like especially because I'm not a shotgun user, being able to shoulder charge them. So I mean, if you can't beat them, join them. That's what I'm saying. That should be the takeaway from all this, is if you can't.
Yeah, whenever I play Inferno, I use my freight train build. I just go universal remote, shotgun, and shoulder charge Titan, and I just run the outer perimeter of the map in a loop and don't stop.
Oh man, it's universal remote needs a nerf, because I get hit with that from so far away. Like, it doesn't even seem fair. Stone, I hate shoulder charge because it's just a one hit kill. It's a very, in my opinion, it is a low skilled one hit kill. Like it's I mean, it does take skill, obviously. I've shot down Titans on their way to shoulder charge me, but it's just, you know what it is it throws my game off. I'm trying to primarily play primary Destiny, and just getting one hit killed by that is just so frustrating. Even shotguns take a little bit more skill, and now that they've changed the way it works, like they've made it better, it locks on better. Like, what the hell? Stone says it is not always a one hit kill. And
yes, that's true.
This is true.
Yes, if you hit a properly equipped character wearing like the Ram, or with any sort of overshield active, like a Titan running with the Juggernaut shield or something like that, they'll have a sliver of life
Depends
left.
on your build.
Okay,
if you have a totally maxed out Titan shoulder charge, people can still survive your shoulder charge.
Crimson Warlock, what do you have to add to this conversation about the Fist of Panic?
I feel like it is used a lot as just a really good way to catch people off guard. I don't know how many times I've come around a corner just to get Titan smashed. Honestly, one of my biggest gripes about it is Destiny is a very vertical game, but the column for supers is infinitely big. Like, I feel like there's times when as a Warlock or as a Titan myself trying to evade another Fist of Panic, I'm well above the range of what a grenade would hit me with as well. However, I get killed by the super, and it's like, I was really high above that. Like, I don't think that explosion should have still hit me, but it does. So that is one thing I wish, it seems like even if you are vertical, you are still on the ground when it comes to taking damage of where things are at with your hitboxes, which is kind of my biggest gripe about it. But mostly I would say it's just a really good counter. It is. There have been times when I do feel like I should have killed them before they got their super off, whether I'm using a grenade at them or other things. But for the most part, I don't think it's Fist of Panic is a little bit overrated, and I think most people use it very well as a strategic super instead of just, oh, there's someone, I got to kill them right now.
Yeah, I just don't think that the panic label it's very accurate. Like even when somebody is using it only to kill me, like there have been many times, and I saved one of these games, and it's in like 90 gigabytes of saved video, where this one person was just trying to kill me. Like, when you are holding down an area and this person keeps coming back through, and you're only seeing this guy over and over, and they're trying to kill you. I know that that's what they are trying to do, and even then, that's not a panicky situation. That's more of a pissy situation. Fist of pissiness. Like, oh man, I have to shut this person down because they keep killing me, and I keep dying to them. Even that's not panicky. Like, I just don't get mad. I just don't get mad when I get killed by the Fist of Havoc. I don't know why. And as much as I rail against the shoulder charge, it's I don't know. I don't know. It's all part of this much larger meta. Like the entire game is just, it's so filled with checks and balances, and I think that pithy. There you go. Fist of pithy. It's, you know, I think that my biggest problem with the shoulder charge is that I'm not necessarily equipped to take it down. I don't have on my person. I'm not using on my person the right tools to make that obsolete. There have been times previously, and actually going through the Crucible, all of Shax's weekly bounty Crucible missions, it puts you in a bunch of different game types, and it makes you play with all of the different gun types. There was a point where I could totally see these shoulder charge Titans coming and was just shutting them down, and it was just, I could tell that I was frustrating them because, like I said, they were just coming after me, and they had to get me because I was killing them. So it's just something that over time I think that I will definitely work with. You know, I feel like a sniper rifle in my hands I'm a lot better with than with a shotgun. For some reason I can't hit people with shotguns. And I think that that's probably your best bet against a shoulder charge Titan. So, you know, that's what it is. I have sour grapes against shoulder charge Titans. But you know what? I'll tell you what right now. I just remembered this. The reason I have sour grapes to shoulder charge Titans is because they're able to use it so quickly again and again. You know, like you start running and then you're charged up and you're ready to do this thing again, as where the Fist of Havoc is an actual super. Once you use it, that's it. It's used. You have to let it recharge. Shoulder charge, you know, I guess I just don't ever have my characters built like Stone was trying to describe, like you guys were saying, you know, like a max armor, which is funny because I always put max armor first. I put max armor and then max recovery, and then agility is last. I always have agility last. Just because it doesn't make sense to put much in recovery if I'm not going to survive the initial amount of bullets that are showing up. So yeah. Anybody else have anything on this subject before we move on?
I just one other thing in defense of shoulder charge, I suppose, is that it's of course a very high risk, high reward. Like, you have to totally commit to what you're doing, and if you shoulder charge in somewhere and there's 3 dudes there, you're not likely going to survive. I mean, sure, you might kill one with the shoulder charge and get the other 2 with your shotgun if you're lucky, but most likely you're gonna end up going down right there. So it's definitely high risk, high reward. And then there's also the trade-off of the fact that the Titan melee by itself is horrible and so short compared to the rest of the class's melees, that the shoulder charge is kind of, you know, that the Titan's paying for that with his regular melee too.
Yeah, I could see that. Welcome, Lawn Boy. Welcome, Spanky. We just got done talking about the so-called Fist of Panic, and also I talked a lot about shoulder charge and how I don't like it much. But I think I've resolved that. And I think I'm going to work on changing up my game. What shotgun do you guys say would be the best defense versus that? Or I see that our Velvet J says in chat that the pea shooters are a good one. So would you say a shotgun would be better, or would you say that a sidearm would be a better defense versus shoulder charge Titans?
I'm back to shotgun. And as far as shotgun recommendations, you have 2 ways to go. There is a conspiracy theory D that gets automatically awarded to you through your quest line, and that's an excellent version of that shotgun. The problem is the very, very slow fire rate is that if you're up against multiple opponents or you miss that first shot, you're probably screwed. The next one down, and the only other one worth using in PvP, would be the Patch A model one. The one that was at that orbit prior to this one was a great example. It had rangefinder and everything. That's the one I actually prefer because I can move into a situation and more easily take down 2 Guardians, and I don't really miss the range that you get on conspiracy theory over it.
Got it. Thank you for those recommendations. Anybody else, or are we moving on? Great. Okay, so I have made a note here, and I was certain that I was going to remember what it was. The note says secret conversation thing. Does anyone here know what that means?
You're talking about the potential ARG that may be running that we tried to talk about each week and never make it to.
Let's go there. Gray, this might be short notice, but I'm going to need you to put up on screen some imagery. There was an image associated with this. But thank you, Agrios. I didn't think anyone was actually going to get it because I thought maybe it was something that I had just determined. But I just really quickly needed to make a note that I wanted to talk about this secret conversation thing. I can't believe you got that, Agrios. That's so funny. Why don't we go there? Let's talk about that because I really want to just get people's opinions on this, and it seems really excellent. So I definitely want to put that in there. Spanky says fusions seem to be good against an aggressive Titan. I've melted a couple with Plan C. That's awesome. You know what? I might look into that because I did enjoy fusion rifles in year one. That seemed to be a really good one to use. I will definitely add that to my to the rotation that I take into PvP to try that out. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so what do you got on this, Agrios? Did you have like a speech prepared? Are you going to read to us what it was that they said? And Gray, are you ready?
I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so a couple right after the launch of the April 12th update, in fact 17 minutes after the update went live to start downloading, there was a post on the Destiny the Game subreddit that listed the location of one of the new dead ghosts. Now, this particular dead ghost, you need to be one of the new Prison of Elders modes to even get to where you can possibly find the ghost. And mind you, this was 17 minutes after people could start downloading the update. After people started finding this ghost, they realized that it was about a character in Destiny named LXXXIII. Well, the name of the person who posted to the subreddit was, in fact, the Reddit name was LXXXIII. They made one other post before their account that was created 4 months prior to the launch of the April 12th update. Just before they deleted that, there is another post. It was written in Latin. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the Latin quote, but it translates to the 20th day of the 9th month. It is coming. Forward to the stars. Now, following these things, there was a series of messages received via the Bungie.net site from a person named Absence Vigil. Those messages in particular have since been specifically discredited by Bungie as being not from a Bungie employee. They very clearly said that Absence Vigil is not from Bungie. And it was later revealed by someone in the community that it was, in fact, an elaborate hoax, a very good one at that, though. However, then in a prior weekly update, which I don't quite have the exact quote ready, they mention LXXXIII. And they simply say, LXXXIII is not one of us. These things are as mysterious to us as they are to you. And don't really, I mean, for someone who's trying to potentially clear up a situation as to whether something out there is really from them or not, could not have possibly been more cryptic about it. So myself, it's hard to interpret whether a LXXXIII is in fact, something from Bungie officially or not. It's hard to believe. If it's not, it would have to be some sort of early tester breaking their NDA to a degree. Or maybe once the April 12th update landed, they weren't under their NDA anymore and could get away with doing something like that. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this whole situation, Remy?
Okay, I would like to offer my thoughts. So the first thought I have is that this is an inside job that has been approved. Like when I think about the time and effort that's gone into this, and the accompanying image that it serves as a like a clue or as a puzzle. I feel like this is absolutely an inside job. Like, and this is not above Bungie. Like, Bungie has done these kinds of things before, where they put a lot of time and effort into obscuring details, but putting out just little tidbits of information. And on this level, I'm super excited about this. Like, this is something that I've wanted to talk about for weeks. And it was really funny. The very first week that I learned about this, it was like, I was like, all right, it's time to end the show. And then, after we stopped broadcasting, I said, did you have anything else, Zagreus, or what? And he's like, oh, I just wanted to talk about this thing that's, really excellent. and so I said, well, this is exactly the kind of thing that is, for that 11th hour, let's get this information out, because this is the kind of thing that is insanely excited to me. And I don't have the quote in front of me either. And I wish I did. I actually just dumped all of my pictures from my phone. So I had taken a screen grab of it because it was so cool. But yeah, Deej said something along the lines of, you know what, Jez, can you look that up and read that to us? It was from like 2 weeks ago or 3 Bungie weeks ago. Said something. It looks like Gray's bringing it up on the screen right now. Almost there. Says something about. No, that's still not there. Says something about, we cannot confirm nor can we decipher these clues. This is not one of us, is what it says. But because it was done so well, because it was done so okay, here it is. And hey, Rizal Azir is not one of us. We cannot confirm nor can we decipher these riddles. It's a mystery to us as well. Fun stuff, though. If you don't know what we're talking about, don't worry about it. If you do, enjoy the speculation. Just remember, nothing about Destiny is true until you read it right here or here. And so that's why I think it's an inside man. Like, the information, like you said, Agrios, 17 minutes outside of the release of this, plus the fact that they did not just disavow it. Like, they said that Rizal Azir is not one of us, but that could just mean that, someone like Jason Jones got, they said, okay, well, this is something we're going to do, but we can't tell anybody else about it. Like we've seen this before with like the Vault of Glass. Those people were in a separate team working on something by themselves, so only these people know.
Right, like how much more cryptic can? Oh, sorry.
Go for it.
I was saying, how much more cryptic can you get? Like, Rizal Azir is not one of us. One of who? One of you and Cosmo? One of the community team? One of the actual developers? One of who? I mean, especially when just prior to that, they came out so clearly and blatantly saying Absence Vigil is not a Bungie employee, does not work for Bungie. This is not anything to do with us.
Yeah.
In clear English said that, not this cryptic, ooh, mysterious and fun.
Yeah. So I think that because the information was done so quickly, because it was done so well, and because the account was made 4 months prior, like, this all feels like they're playing with us. They're playing with the people who want to play this game, and that's really exciting. And I want more people to know about this, because somebody out there will be able to decipher this. Gray, did you have that image to throw up on the screen?
Another thing, Unilala says the date also lines up with what would be reasonable for that update to drop. And that's in fact true. That date that they list in the Latin statement there does in fact fall on a Tuesday.
Right, the 20th of September?
Correct.
Yeah. So it's really exciting, but that's just my take. Crimson Warlock, what do you make of this Rizal Azir?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't really have a big opinion about it, and I don't really care. I like the lore of Destiny, but I'm not into all this alternate, like augmented reality stuff and people being on forums and talking about cryptic stuff. So I don't know. I'll just, if that update drops on that game on that day for Destiny, good for that guy. Like that's my opinion on it.
You're a funny guy, Crimson Warlock. Jez, what do you think about this?
I mean, it's not beyond them to do something weird like this, but it's not beyond them to play up that it's actually a thing just to get more people to be interested in it too, either.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's look at this from another angle, though, too. If this wasn't Bungie, what is this? How is this pulled off? I mean, granted, the 20th date is speculation, but do you think that there is a tester that could possibly have that much of an inside bit of information as the location of a dead ghost and who the dead ghost is about over 4 months in advance of the update being dropped? Like, is it even
they do
possible
proper
that somebody
external
doesn't work?
testing? Yes, if they do proper external testing, very, very possible that this person was a tester. They found the ghost and they wanted to just kind of do something cryptic. Like, I could totally see that as well. So that's why I don't have a big opinion about it either.
Since we all use the same Bungie.net, though, and the Razil Azir information part of the dead ghost comes from the Grimoire card, could a tester have even had the information if they had even found a dead ghost there?
Yes, very easily, because in most test environments, I mean, you hear about how they migrate users. In a lot of test environments as well, you can make brand new accounts and new users on the fly, pretty much, and that allows you to do what you need to.
It sounds like your kid disagrees with you. I think that what
cheating. She's getting teeth. She wants to fist of panic everything right now.
I think that what Agrios is trying to say with this grimoire is that you would need to access it outside of Destiny. Like, this wouldn't be like you're saying that you can just make new users. That's cool, and you might get this card, but unless the card itself says Razil Azir on the title, and I don't know, I wasn't paying attention when I got the ghost.
That's true. It could at the bottom when you get the ghost, it might say Grimoire Razil Azir unlocked. I don't know.
Yeah. But let's see. Agrios, what is your take on this?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. I think Bungie knows more than what they're saying. I think that there is something going on here as to the fact that it's either this was officially sanctioned by someone at Bungie, and maybe even everyone, like you said, doesn't know about it that works for Bungie, or it's a rogue tester. Like, if they could possibly have this information. And if this information, is all true, as in we already know the location of the ghost and the name Razil Azir and stuff is true, if this September 20th date is true too, well, Bungie can't just outright say, well, this information isn't true. Because if it is all true, they just said we can't confirm it. So, it's almost like saying that, okay, it's true, but we're not going to tell you yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's about it. I think if it's not Bungie, it has to be somebody going rogue from Bungie.
Wasn't there... Okay, so there was an image that was like an upside down... It looked like a blueprint. Was that associated with what they said wasn't one of these things? Because I thought it was with this post. You know what I'm talking about, Agrios?
No, I'm not familiar with the image you're referring to. I heard you say that before, but this image thing is new to me. Maybe that came from the Absence Vigil.
Okay.
Line of thinking, but I'm not familiar with any images connected to the Razil Azir stuff. I kind of stopped as soon as Cosmo said that Absence Vigil was absolutely unequivocally not somebody from Bungie, and this was just something somebody's doing. I stopped following it quite so much, because right after that it came forward that the person who was doing it came forward too, and I'm like, all right, no point studying any of that stuff.
Got it. Yeah, I thought that there was another there was another clue, but I'm not seeing anything right now. Maybe.
I think perhaps that might have came from the absence vigil thing, because everybody was immediately clumping them both in the same boat and tying it together when the news was all coming out originally. Because the person doing the absence vigil thing did a great job. I mean, everything they did was totally like they said the right things, the right ways, and stuff like that. That it was a great hoax.
Got it. Let's see, Sharks. What do you make of this? Do you care? Do you not care?
Oh yeah, I love conspiracy stuff. I think it's great. But I have learned something from the beginning of the inception of Destiny from Bungie, is that Bungie does not always say things cryptic. People read into things. And I think a lot of people are reading into, their denial of anybody being at Bungie doing this. Now, what I honestly believe is that a tester played the game, found the ghost, and did not. And so he made this thing, and he just wanted to do this, let's get everybody talking kind of crap, and waited until after the release of the update to post it. And then deleted it because he didn't want to get caught. Because if you get caught, you're never going to test for Bungie ever again. Bungie comes out. They say that nobody is working at Bungie that posted this. Basically, as far as they know, they don't know, or even they could be even saying that if it was a tester that released this information, that tester doesn't officially work for Bungie anyway. So they may not even know who it was that posted it. As far as
absence vigil, the only thing they said about Raziel Azir is Raziel Azir is not one of us. That was the only words they said about him.
Yeah, but they're denying that they don't understand any of the stuff that's being put in the Reddit post. And the thing is like, okay, in the past, everything that Bungie's ever done, they've never gone out of their way to deny something. Okay, and I am a true believer in anybody that is denying as much as you possibly can about doing something. There's probably a good chance that you did know something about it, and that information has been leaked, and you're trying to cover your tracks. So, like I say, I think that a tester was the one that found the ghost, and he posted all this stuff. Now, as far as the 20th day of the 9th month bullshit, people have been trying to but it doesn't matter. People have been trying to put down exact dates for release stuff all the time. So here's a great way to get people to believe what you say. You test something, you find a ghost, you put to everybody right after the update where that ghost is. So now people suddenly think, oh, you have inside information. And on top of that, this person is releasing information about a specific day in a specific month. Let's start talking about that. So I don't believe that that specific date means anything. I have seen too many times that things have been pushed back or delayed for whatever reason. Maybe this person actually did know a date, but it doesn't make a difference because until Bungie and Activision and everybody else gets their act together and decides to release something, dates don't matter. And as far as knowing the ghost, yeah, it's cool. Somebody released info about a ghost. People have been doing that since day one of the release of this game by data mining. They're no different except for that somebody actually went out and found it as opposed to knowing information about it. So, I mean, it is very interesting. And like I say, Bungie denying it, maybe they're denying it because they know every time they deny something, people start talking about it. And it's just more ways for Bungie to, get information out there for people to say, ooh, what about this? What about that? There have been music artists that have been doing this for years. Madonna used to do everything she could to get talked about on the news, to be famous. So, maybe Bungie is using this person's Reddit post to have people talk about it. I mean, and it's working because, weeks later we're talking about it on the podcast.
Okay, I want to get to Gray's take, but what was the other person's name? The one that they definitely said was not part of them?
Absence Vigil. And while we're mentioning that real quick, one thing that I also found odd that I didn't note before was the fact that the Razil Azir thing happened first. Some days later, the Absence Vigil thing started. Then Cosmo was very quick to totally discount Absence Vigil very publicly and very clearly, but said nothing of Razil Azir, which was clearly blowing up bigger on the subreddit and such. Then they addressed the real Razil Azir, but officially in the weekly update and very cryptically instead of extremely clearly like Cosmo addressed Absence Vigil. This plan of attack against the two different entities seems very oddly different.
I agree. And now that I've searched that Absence Vigil, this was Vigil. That was where the image was that I found that was really cool.
Yeah, but you also have to take into consideration that it's two different people saying different things. One was Cosmo, and one was Deej. They're not.
But my point is that Cosmo is very aware of the subreddit. Why would he address very, very clearly and publicly Absence Vigil before Razil Azir, to the point where he never even addressed Razil Azir on his own time or account or anything?
Yeah, but how about this? Why would Bungie make any comment about anything, since in the past 2 years, they never make comments about anything? People speculate constantly.
They just made 2 comments.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying this is the only time in 2 years that people that are speaking for Bungie have come out and said something about something. That's kind of fishy to me. Why would they do that? Do they want people to talk about it? Obviously they do, because they never do that in the past with anything.
Or was one real and one wasn't, and they had to make a clarification, so they talked about it for the first time.
A cover up, maybe.
All right, Gray, what do you make of all this?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I think that there's been a lot of speculation, and I don't know that I'm necessarily going to add any new content here. But the only thing that I want to mention on it is I think it's been good for the community. It's been a little bit of a hook that we've been drawn into. We all want a roadmap to know what's going to be coming in the near and distant future. And even though this isn't a clear roadmap by any means, it kind of gives us hope. And we've got a timeline that kind of fits with it. And I think for this community to kind of stay positive as we kind of continue down the activities that are presented before us, I think anything that gives us a little bit of hope is probably pretty good.
Oh man. Okay. So Lays says in the is that what I should call you? Lays? Or do you go by Summerstone or Watermelon or what? But he says in the comments, what if they're just saying he's not a Bungie employee because Razil is a fictional character? Like that fits in. And that would be that. And then he says it's their new policy of transparency. Okay, Lays it is.
Lays. Yes, Lays.
Yeah, Mystic Rose says that would be factually correct. They are kind of creative in their denial, and like Agrios was saying, like there was a very, very clear cut denial for Absence Vigil, a very clear denial. And I get what you're saying, Sharks, about it being 2 different people, but at the same time, I feel like they're talking out of the same mouth. Like what they say is filtered through the same hoops. Like, just because it's Cosmo doesn't mean he's allowed to say anything more than DJs. And maybe that's why they had two different people say it, was so to throw us off that trail. I mean, and this goes back to, I've been a conspiracy Destiny theory nut for a long time, and I enjoy talking about these things. And I don't know.
I do too, except for that I've been burned too many times by conspiracies and what ifs and whatnots for Destiny. I mean, one of my biggest ones from the very beginning was split screen. And Deej was really, really good at not saying anything when they could have easily come out and said, you know what? We're not doing split screen. We had never thought about doing split screen at all. Instead, they made little comments here, there, and everywhere, and people constantly were like, oh, well, you read into that, and that means that there is split screen. Oh, this is awesome. And I think that it's the same thing now, is that there are so many minds out there, Destiny fans, that read this stuff, and we put all our little minds together and come up with all these little, fictitious stories of why things could be or what they are and whatnot. And like I say, I enjoy it, but I am not going to sit here and hold my breath and think, oh yeah, this is, because we've all been burned too many times by Bungie with the same kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Gray, did you get a chance to talk at all? Like, sometimes I go into these blackout modes where I just talk, and then I look up from what I'm doing, and I'm, where am I? What's even going on? I'm kind of hungry, and so this is what happens, like when I skip sharks in the intro, like I just, all of a sudden I'm here and I'm talking about Destiny. So did you get a chance to answer? Because I wanted to say that you're putting up some really cool, relevant stuff. You just put up a post by Cosmo that says, oh, not one of us. It looks like someone in the community is having fun. And then Cosmo clarified to say, I was talking about Absence Vigil. Like this, that was correct, right? It went by, and then I, like I said, I just woke up.
Somebody else.
Yeah,
there are other people in question. I'm specifically talking about this one.
Yeah. So what is your take on all this? Do you enjoy this? Is this something fun for you? And as a year 2 Guardian, did you play? Oh, we've already been over that. Your girl played a lot of Halo, and you didn't play a lot of Halo. Bungie has been playing with ARGs for quite some time. Is this something that interests you?
Yeah, it's kind of new to me, and I do find it interesting. I think that them dropping these little hints and giving especially the dedicated player base something to research and go in and see if they can find a nugget of truth. As far as what I think's actually going on, I'm leaning more to the tester side. I'd like to know more about the process of data mining. Is it even possible to data mine the location of a new ghost when an update drops like this in that short a time? I suspect probably not.
Yeah, from what I understand, from people in comments, that would not have been a possibility with the way this was presented.
Yeah, because then you also got to develop this kind of cryptic backstory and Latin translation piece all on the fly in about 17 minutes. Now, Remy, you could probably manage, but most of us probably would struggle a little bit with it.
Well,
now, the account itself...
the Latin thing was a couple weeks earlier? Or months earlier.
Sure. But I think ultimately, I think it's probably good for the game and good for the community. I think it gets us interested in an element of really looking at the timeline of what's to come with Destiny, even though it might not be the true timeline. It at least gets us talking and somewhat hopeful about what could be coming.
Right. What do we know about these 3 of 4 new ghosts accounted for? Has someone found the 4th ghost, and do we know if that's a thing?
I've been keeping myself blind on them because I actually try to hunt them down myself, so I am unaware.
Because if it's true that there's a fourth ghost that no one has found, then I would say that it's most likely not possible to data mine for the location of the ghosts. Although it does say that
I don't think
clues.
you can. I'm pretty sure data mine just gives information on, like, there is a ghost. You might be able to get the actual grimoire info, stats, stuff like that, but I don't think you can actually know locations, as far as I know.
I believe that's correct.
If you do get locations, it's probably really generic, like it's on this planet and that's all that I know. Maybe a zone,
right?
But that's it.
Cool. So does anybody have anything on this? Like, what kind of time are we looking at here? I think we're looking at like another 20 minutes left in the show. Is that correct? What time did we start? Anyone? I guess I could just look through my mentions. I guess I should have just typed this in the comment box and then somebody could have got back to me. Okay, I wanted to bring up something. This kind of goes along with what we were just talking about, and we can just go through this really quickly and then work on from there. Stacy Recht asked last weekend in chat, so be honest, do you guys wish they would stop digging in the database so that when an expansion comes out, everything is really a surprise? The weapons and the exotics, I mean. And my take on this is that I don't wish that they would stop digging so much as that I wish that Bungie was better about hiding, because the idea of digging through a database to glean information of upcoming content is exciting to me, but from where I'm sitting, it's difficult for me to not look at that information when people find it. Like Agrios was just saying, he's trying to keep himself blind because he wants to find these ghosts. Well, I wish that, like, you're not going to stop people from digging. Like, I don't ever believe that you will be able to stop people from doing what they want, and so it's a fool's errand to try and, talk to their stop doing this so that everybody has a cool time. Like, somebody's going to do it. So I just wish Bungie was better about, they were able to more better hide the information that they don't want out.
The problem is with data mining, you can't really hide that.
Well, I mean,
continue. Once you have the files in there, the only way you could hide it is if you just rename everything, so it just looks like a bunch of garbage. But then it's gonna look like a bunch of garbage when the patch goes live.
I see what you're saying.
The thing is that certain data is kept client side and certain data is kept server side, and the client side data you just can't hide because it's going to say on that data what it says in the game.
I see what you're saying. Gray, what do you think about this? Gray is sleeping.
No, I was doing a little research, see if anybody's found the location of all four. It doesn't look like anybody's found the location of all four quite yet. I'm not so sure. I don't know enough about the process of data mining probably to comment adequately on it.
Got it. That should be something that you do before next week, just in case this topic comes up, because we're all very versed in the.
While you're at it, take some coding lessons and maybe some Flash. I don't know why we'll need it, but maybe.
That's a really great idea. I enjoy working in Flash and having somebody else work on that. Oh, okay. I guess I'm
just gonna be happy if I get the intro to play.
No, I was making fun of basically front loading everything on him. That's a fool's errand in itself.
I feel like he can take it. I think you're the only person who actually went to school, right? You're the only person who has a degree or something, right? I don't.
Excuse me, I do.
Oh,
I do too.
Oh man.
Well, awesome.
Engineering degree here, buddy.
For reals? That's awesome. See, the things you don't know about the people you talk to every day. What is yours in, Crimson?
Mechanical engineering.
See, well, then this just proves my point. Gray should be able to do it if these guys with degrees can do it. But I'm just saying, as someone who's going to be part of this podcast, it's going to be good for you to catch up with the rest of us.
Definitely.
Lawn Boy says that he hates spoilers and he likes to be surprised, and I agree. It's really difficult sitting where I am, and knowing what's going to come out. Being so far up Destiny's information trail, and understanding. Like even before things come out, like I don't necessarily want to know everything, but as somebody who runs this podcast, it's really important for me to know the information, at least the stuff that they're putting out. Like I try and stay away from spoilers, but I try and stay as up to date as possible. So yeah.
So do you guys think the data mining issue is more of just because of the way Destiny is as a looter heavy game? I could be wrong because I am not definitely a big fanboy of some of these games, but I couldn't see, I guess, the need or want to data mine Uncharted, to say, or something. Like I think it's more just because of the amount of items and the type of game Destiny is, because it's so loot focused, that we have such urgency to data mine whenever we can.
This is a good question.
Well, it's generally a MMO thing because they always want to look to see what like raid weapons there are, and I think that just spills over into Destiny. Like you don't do this in Uncharted. Oh, apparently there's a dog barking. You don't see this in Uncharted because like the game is like you don't really have things hidden like that.
Well, okay, I think that, but do you have it in games like Call of Duty, where it's PvP orientated games and people want to know the info on the guns? See, that's why I could see.
I think there is some in Call of Duty just to get like the exact numbers, but I couldn't know for sure if that's actually what they do.
Okay, so I think you guys hit the nail on the head with the whole MMO aspect. In games like Destiny and like MMOs, even the PvE elements have a competitive nature. There are things hidden that need to be unlocked and achieved, and even if you're fighting computer AI, there's still I want to be 335 first, I want to get this coolest weapon first, I want to get my tier 12 build together first. So there's this desire to have this information to get that competitive edge, even if you're not fighting another player. And I think other games like Uncharted, it's a single-player theatrical sort of more of experience where you're not concerned about getting the one-up on anybody else. And then things like Call of Duty were mentioned. I think in that you don't really have so many things that are to be unlocked in that competitive against the computer environment, but you do want to get like stats from guns and things. So I think that's where the Call of Duty data mining is limited to, is just getting the hardcore stats from guns.
Okay, I would like to add to this, and then make sure I go around the table to answer this Stacy Rex question. I would like to add to this the idea of the cult of Bungie, because they've figured out a way. Even in their Halo days, they've figured out a way to make people care about this stuff. I don't know that there is a ton of data mining going on in Halo, but that was probably due to there wasn't a whole lot of new content going in other than like maps. But I feel like this is the same reason why some games can have a trading system and Destiny does not. Like I feel like there's a lot of weight put on, like Crimson Warlock was saying, a lot of weight put on loot and a lot of weight put on what you have, and just not being able to trade. Like I know people who've gotten so many Mythoclast, and if trading was a deal, they could just give me one. They wouldn't even care about it. Like, oh, I've got 7 of these, like I'm going to get 3 more tonight. Here's one for you. Because there is no trading, that puts a surprising amount of weight for me on that particular piece of gear. And so I think that this cult of Bungie that they've cultivated, I think that they make people care about it. I'm not certain how they do this exactly. Definitely one aspect is the loot-driven nature, but I feel like it. People care. Like when I was saying that somebody is going to do this, I actually mean that if there was nobody doing what they're doing right now, data mining, somebody else would step up and start data mining, because would be that vacuum. There's this information out there. There's information in these patch notes. Somebody's going to do it, and I think the only reason why more people don't step up and do it is because the job is already being done. Another good example is the Ghosts and Echoes. They used to be very, very frequently updating with new Grimoire cards. As soon as that stopped, other sources popped up for these kinds of audio stories about the Grimoire. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Where did we leave off? I think we left off on sharks. Do you care about these people data mining? Do you wish that they would stop?
No, I don't wish they would stop. And I think that some of the information that they data mine is really good. Some of the information they data mine is over the top, but that comes with doing it, period. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it to the extreme. You're not just going to say, okay, I'm going to go and get a little bit of information. They're going to go through all that code and get everything that they possibly can and put it out there for people. Doesn't necessarily mean that I want to know about it. Or, for instance, let's talk about the Ghost. The Ghost, I had heard that there were going to be more ghosts. And I was like, okay, cool. I am like Agrios. I like to go out and I like to find things. That's why I have so many hours invested into it. But that Ghost, I didn't need to go out and find, because it was blasted all over the internet because of how they data mined it and what was and the information that was out there. I knew for a fact it was right in this particular spot at this particular place. And I mean, that kind of takes away from me as far as the game is. But you can't really fault the data miners, because the data miners aren't sitting out there and blasting everybody with this information. That's everybody else that's doing that. But yeah, I think that it's kind of needed, because a company like Bungie isn't going to go out there and do it themselves. They've got other things that they're working on. They may not see that it's something that's needed at that particular time. Maybe later on down the road, they'll say, okay, everybody wants to have all the information on all these guns. They want to know the stats. They want to know the hidden perks. So we're going to start showing people that. But at the moment that they release the game, they're like, people aren't going to care. So go out there and play the game, and maybe they'll try different guns, but instead somebody's gone out and gotten all that information. I mean, it's the same thing with LFG. Everybody out in the community, they wanted LFG sites, so these people got together and they went and made something that they want because they think that it's needed. Well, now Bungie, we haven't got to that part. I don't even know if we're going to get to the update, but Bungie basically said that they're going to make their own LFG site, So it's like things like this. It's good that the community are adding these things, and so yeah, I have no problem with data miners at all, as long as I don't. I'm not forced to see something if I really don't want to.
Agrios.
I definitely do not think that it should be looked down upon to data mine. I think that the community as a whole needs to be considerate of spoiler type information. And I mean, that's part of the reason why I almost strictly get my information from the subreddit, which is awesome about keeping spoiler stuff spoiler tagged and everything appropriately. And from, professional sites, like I know some people don't like some of them, but, GameSpot or IGN or Kotaku are all very good about noting when an article is going to have spoilers contained within it, or very clear about what information is going to be in that article before you read it. And occasionally I do get a tiny spoil, but I think, for instance, I'm a gun nut. I like comparing all the different guns and figuring out which is the best gun for the best particular, use of that gun available to me. And then I have a goal of something to go get. And Bungie, though they give you a good range for general comparison and for very casual players, doesn't give you even half the stats of a gun in the Destiny game. So I really, really appreciate the data mined, weapon spreadsheets provided by Planet Destiny and such for, really fine-tuning my arsenal and finding the guns that really, really work for me. Because there's simply too many different variables on too many different guns to effectively just simply try them all out for yourself in the game. So some data mining is good, and some data mining I try my best to avoid, but I don't think it should be stopped, even the stuff I avoid.
Jez.
And you're not going to stop it. It's more about the social consciousness of knowing what spoilers, like he said. Like Aggro said.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that as well. Crimson Warlock.
Yeah, nothing new to say about it. It's good when it happens and it's not spoilery for you, but, if it does spoil stuff, it's just part of data mining.
Awesome. There you have it, Stacy Recht. Enjoy. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left. Agrios, why don't you give us the rundown?
I can make it. Yeah, I can make it pretty short and sweet.
Let's do it.
So, the other day we had the Artist of Destiny, where we had Jesse Van Dyke, Joseph Cross, and Adrian Madge something, and I can't pronounce that, so I apologize for slaughtering the names. But we had three excellent Bungie artists.
Funny thing is, it's even easier to pronounce than it looks. I just can't remember what it is. No, he said on stream. I'll have to re-listen.
I don't know how to read it, and I don't remember how it was pronounced then. So, but they provided some excellent insight into a lot of the art, leading up to what we play in Destiny here. Both things that made it in the game, and the things that didn't. Remy mentioned earlier how it was nice seeing a face behind where some of these things that we spent so much time with has come from. Leading up in the coming up in the next couple weeks, we have next week we're going to actually get something that people have requested for a long time. Ride Along King's Fall. We're going to get to watch Bungie devs face Oryx in his final form. And they're going to have people along to commentate with their journey through the raid. I'm really looking forward to that one. And then the week after that, on the 25th, we have the Ride Along Crucible. And it seems like they're going to be talking about the architecture of the competitive arenas that they're playing with primarily. So what did you guys think of the artist stream? And what do you are you guys looking forward to the next couple of weeks, or was this more enticing than the ride-alongs to you to see this kind of background information?
My my son is always very, very right in the middle of Bungie streams, making poop, lots of poop for me to deal with. And so I didn't get to see a lot of the stream. Like there's a huge chunk in the center where I was off dealing with things that weren't Bungie. So I definitely want to go over a lot of the things that were there. I think that right now we're way running out of the time, but I think that we can all safely say that we're looking forward to the stuff that's coming in the future. Continue. Or were you not ready for me to say continue?
He was actually trying to get a roundtable discussion, but I think we might be running out of time to do that. But yeah we're all looking forward to the next thing.
That was just a little quicker than I was expecting. I hadn't unmuted yet, so. But Starks had touched on it before. There is a new recruitment function coming to the Bungie website and the app. You'll be able to search by platform, activity, and availability to find your groups in an official method through Bungie. Hopefully, this runs smoothly, and it looks like it's a good setup. I'm looking forward to it, though. I suspect I may still use what I'm already in the habit of using, like DestinyLFG.com. I'm a fan of the site, and I feel like the Guardians who have, kind of go out of their way to a site like that to go get things done are a little more committed than, the casual player. So I'm thinking that maybe if you go to a select site, you might get a better pool of players to pick from than the original Bungie.net site. What do you think?
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense to me. Also, like there could be people that like you just know that they're going to be good. Like if you go to the Planet Destiny one, you know those are going to be good people. Or if you go to the .net or the .com site, like I know a lot of people have had like luck with one and not the other. And is that just anecdotal? Is this going to be too big of a pool? Is it too late? Is it too little, too late? I mean, clearly it's not, because Destiny is still pretty early in its cycle.
I personally am looking forward to trying it, because almost everybody that plays Destiny either has the app or they go on to the forums or have been onto the forums at some point or another. And so I think the pool is going to be bigger. And I don't have a problem with the people that have made these LFG sites, but I do have a problem with the people that are on it now. As far as most of the players are on it, they think they're elitist. They think that they're better than everybody else. And that really bugs me. And I think a lot of people are afraid to go and use LFG, especially new players, because of that. So I think that maybe Bungie putting out their own version, you might get more people doing it, and a bigger pool and a better pool to play with.
That's a really good point, and Agrios really struck a chord with, like you're totally right. People who are reaching that far outside of the game to find other people to play with, they're on a different level than people who aren't interested in going outside of official, like the people who are complaining still that there wasn't an LFG provided by Bungie are the same people who are not interested in going to these other sites to find people. And I think that this is going to be a great tool specifically for Guardian 1 and the things that we have planned for the future, like finding the noob of noobs. Like I'm really interested in finding people who don't really have any idea what's going on and helping them figure it out. There's a really strong curve, a really strong learning curve in the beginning for Destiny. And then after that, it plateaus pretty much flat. Like once you do understand what's going on with the mechanics, it's not super deep, but it's much deeper than like Halo. Halo does not have the same learning curve in gameplay or in how you deal with weapons and armor, things like that. So
there's something to be said about the whole noob of noob thing that you mentioned there. This should actually also help a lot of people complete the Refer a Friend program, which is difficult for a lot of people too, because while I don't think the people who are still going to be eligible for Refer a Friend are going to find their way to LFG in time to still participate, they may actually find their way onto this site, or at very least get there long enough to see a post where people looking to help refer a friend. You get stuff, I get stuff. Come on, I'll teach you the game.
Yeah.
Whereas, that noob is never going to see LFG.com, but they may download the companion app before they even open the game on the way home from the store.
Right. This is true. A very good point. Anybody else on this? And then moving on.
Okay, so moving on, we have the Challenge Elders this week. We've gone back to the original Melee Challenge, this time with different modifiers. Definitely not as much fun as the last time. It's odd. I thought exposure was going to be bad for a Melee Challenge, whereas it was actually the saving grace making it fun, because a coordinated fire team could continue to revive, and then you could go into Melee with the increased shields. And it was actually a lot of fun. This week, not so much, especially with T-Rex Titans. And the high score from last week's Super Challenge was 181,865, set by SD Battlefront, Red Sox 007, and Blaze Boss 17. Second place score is 154,385, and the third place was 152,385.
Damn.
The week I wish I knew how they did that.
They are amazing scores. The week prior to that, we had the top of team was from some clan math class. Math class.
Who's that?
The clan, right? I think. But the high score of 79,860 went to Leopard Stealth, Striker Codex, and Dado Watto. Second place was at 67,795, and third place is at 66,710. So congrats to them.
Excellent.
Excellent. Okay, you guys aren't talking about anything. I'm not to where I gotta go next yet. All right,
really messing with this flow.
Right. Yeah, you guys really mess with my flow. Okay, so Activision, there's an Activision investment call this week in which Eric Hirschberg, Chief Executive Officer of Activision, said that so Destiny has nearly 30 million registered players now, and our April content successfully re-engaged the community and was very well received. We think engagement has remained remarkably strong even after the release of some competitive games in this genre. But it's clear that our fans are hungry for more content than we've been able to create, and that passion and loyalty from our fans is something that we don't take for granted, which is why we're working side by side with Bungie to make sure that in the future we're able to deliver a more consistent stream of great content and drive even more engagement. So these are great words that I really wanted to hear them acknowledge.
Yeah. Okay, so that last line is crazy because it could mean a number of things. You know, mostly. I mean, I don't know that I looked at it like this before, but thinking about Activision watching Bungie not pump out enough content for this, you know, basically this ravenous community, it never really occurred to me that they would be like, okay, well, let's have it. You know, like we want more people to play your game. You know, how are we going to make that happen? Or more specifically, how are you going to make that happen, Bungie? You know, like, so I'm curious to see how these things are going to work out in the future. If I had to guess, I would say that we're probably going to see more smaller updates like this April update. Like, it was a big update, but in terms of, like, it wasn't necessarily anything new. I mean, certainly the Spectre armor and, you know, certainly all of the like the new ships and the, you know, there was a bunch of little things added to it, but those little things added up and they kind of beefed up what was already there. I think that's what we're going to see is more consistent, smaller updates, which I think is great. I think that, you know, if you can't just consistently pump out, you know, like a vault of glass every 3 months or whatever, you know, like I think that these smaller updates are going to be good because, I mean, we're still looking at a very small player base having completed raids and doing all of these much better, much deeper activities. So it's, I mean, they're really going to be satiating a very small but very vocal part of the community, you know, like the people who want to play it all the time. So I'm excited to see what these things look at. All right, so we're looking at just a couple more minutes here. I want to just throw this out. Is there anybody that wants to say anything about that before we move on? Okay. What else you got, Agrios? Because we got to get to some shout outs.
Yep, no, that's pretty much it. I do want to mention the movie of the week, Solo Oryx Hard Mode Kill, and the runner-up, One Bullet, One Reaper. The first is amazing, and the second is lucky as shit.
Awesome, excellent. Did you get cut off, or was that just it?
Nope, that's it.
Awesome.
That's the last thing I wanted to know. I mean, there is something else but I mean, it's not anything we can talk about this week. I guess maybe I'll just mention it so folks can look into it. But there is an amazing compilation of information about the Exo Stranger put together on the subreddit this week. It's well worth a read if you're at all into the lore. It has to do with, you know, who is the Exo Stranger really, and how does that, you know, apply to us and apply to the story of Destiny. And it's very in depth and presents its facts and references exceptionally well, and is an enthralling read.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to check that out. We should put that on the front end of the next week because that sounds like an interesting read. If everyone here could look that over and be prepared for next week, that would be great. Also, stapling your TPS reports to the front of your memos would be also great.
And I think it's coming on Sunday. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so that's it. That's it for episode 83. We need to get out of here. Let's do some shout outs, starting with Grey Ghost.
So my shout out this week goes out to the SDF G1 raid crew that runs Monday night. We had a great raid this past Monday. Finished off Orcs hard mode in style, and Lawn Boy was there. I see he's in the chat. So River was there. We had a great raid, and they did a good job.
Excellent. Sharks.
My shout out goes to my hockey team, the San Jose Sharks, because they have made it into the finals tonight during our podcast.
Excellent. Congratulations. Agrios.
My shout out this week goes to my girlfriend who takes good care of me and is very courteous to a variety of my gaming habits, including me taking the time out to prepare for this podcast, to do this podcast every week. So you can thank her for my presence, or curse her for my presence, whatever, is your thing.
That's a good one. I like that shout out a lot. Thank you to you. Jez.
Shout out to Blumberg for being the best boss ever.
Excellent. Crimson Warlock.
My shout out this week is to a lady named Deanne. She allowed my wife and I to have an opportunity that we weren't expecting to have, and move forward in some goals that we have as a couple and as a family. And so my shout outs to her, and thank you very much for your help.
Excellent. Cryptic, but excellent. My shout out is to Fantastic V and his wife, Black Widow. So I have this Fantastic V on my Xbox friends list, and I saw that he was doing a Challenge of Elders, and there was only 2 of them, and I thought, I should jump in, or no, maybe I should just go get my test weapons done. And so I jumped in, and I was very pleased that he was happy to have me there. And he said it's trippy to hear my voice because he listens to the podcast. And I said, well, yeah, it is trippy to hear my voice. I hate my voice. Like, I hate the way I sound. But I had a really great time with him and his wife. We got some Challenge of Elders done. And it just, I don't know, just like that, we were able to complete this content that is rapidly getting me towards 335, and it feels really good to push up towards that number. Actually, I jumped from 331 to 333 just in the 3 rounds that we ran. So thank you, Fantastic V. Thank you, Black Widow. It was really great playing with you. I look forward to playing with you in the future. And that wraps up episode 83. I would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions or suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.